This is an IchiRuki rant, but it is anti. So if you are pro-IchiRuki, I would advise that you do not listen any further. Here I go. This is my most despised Bleach pairing. The fans haven't exactly made me want to like this pairing, let alone support the possibility of it happening. And not only that, the pairing itself is something to be despised because of the way it treats the characters, and of course the prospects of it happening aren't exactly great. I just completely hate it. The fans, as I said before, do not help. The two characters themselves are just friends, and what makes me say this is because Kubo Taito has actually said that IchiRuki is not a romantic pairing, it's platonic. And a paraphrase of what he said in an interview about Fade to Black is that they are more than friends, but less than lovers. And that means that their bond transcends friendship, but does not go into the region of love. And that would make sense because it has been shown on numerous occasions that Rukia means a lot to Ichigo and vice versa, but it is not something which is romantic for either of them. Their bond is clearly unique, but it is not superior. However, it is something that is treasured by both. And this is something that is shown extremely clearly in the Soul Society arc. Because, of course, at that point, Ichigo and Rukia were the centre of that arc. It really developed their friendship and what they were to each other. Now, another reason why there isn't any love between Ichigo and Rukia, at least no romantic love, is because whenever Rukia clocks him, Rukia's expressions are always those of annoyance, anger, or irritation. He clearly doesn't like it when she hits him, so you can't imagine him wanting to take that from her for the rest of his life and the afterlife in a relationship. It just wouldn't work. Plus, he has similar reactions to others who strike him the way she does, so that's also a testament to how he hates being hit in general, and that's why getting socked is not a sign of love, nor Rukia and Ichigo hiding feelings, the way a lot of IchiRuki fans like to imagine. Ichigo doesn't react any less angrier to Rukia's kicks and punches than he does to others. I think if Ichigo and Rukia ever got married, it would be because they were forced together. They would not get on at all. They would argue all the time, and they wouldn't set a good example for the children. There would be a divorce in the near future for sure. Even their theoretical future prospects don't look good. And that's another reason why Ichigo and Rukia wouldn't work as a couple. I feel that romance would cheapen the bond between them and make it corny. They have something special, a spiritual affinity which is timeless and transcends life and death. Ichigo and Rukia are soulmates and very close friends, and I reckon in some aspects they love each other like family, as Rukia plays the role of big sister to Ichigo as well as his mentor. They are truly one and the same, and you can't have one without the other. They are two halves of a whole. In other words, twin souls which share the same heart. This beautiful bond is blossoming all the time. There is no need for such a dynamic to develop any other way. Precious Nakama is how it should stay. That's how I feel. Ichigo and Rukia are perfect the way they are right now. Bonds between Nakama are portrayed as something important in Bleach, and in Ichigo and Rukia's case, something unique. Their bond is distinctive, and is a contrast to all the others, and whilst not superior, is clearly something which is treasured by both. Another reason why I hate IchiRuki, as I mentioned before, is the fans. They laud their pairing over other people, and are always spouting rubbish about how IchiRuki's love is so much greater, and how it's canon, and how people are so delusional because they can't see it. Ridiculous. But in doing so, they are wrecking the main character of Bleach and the heroine, which is Rukia. Us anti-IchiRuki fans are allowed to differ from everyone else. What right do IchiRuki fans have to dictate that we're not? I bet it's because these fans are actually scared of those who like pairing Ichigo and Rukia with other characters, or those who don't like IchiRuki. Due to the fact that those who do so stand out, IchiRuki fans get all up in arms about it. To them, anti-IchiRuki fans and people who prefer Ichigo and Rukia with other characters are a threat. So, like all bullies and jealous cowards do, IchiRuki fans gang up on others in the hopes of scaring them off from sheer number. But it's not going to work. Not by a long shot. If anything, it strengthens the belief that IchiRuki is not viable. It proves it every single time they try. It's truly laughable. And if that's not enough, the couple destroys the very characters it pairs up. But it seems poor Ichigo gets the brunt of it. I feel sorry for the main character, really. Seriously, IchiRuki fans don't understand Ichigo at all. I mean, for example, when Ichigo lost his powers, IchiRuki fans were banging on about how all Ichigo had ever wanted was to become a Shinigami once more. What? I thought it was the power to protect. He was perfectly fine before Rukia even came along. As Karine said, he was always protective. He protected her and Yuzu as a child, before he even gained Shinigami powers to protect them from Hollows. The power he had back then was enough, but of course when Hollows attacked, it was not sufficient. Hence, borrowing Rukia's powers and then awakening his own later remedied that. Every time Ichigo is confronted with a situation in which he does not possess the adequate means to protect, he seeks to get stronger. That is what he wants. Power to protect those he holds dear. Yes, when he didn't have Shinigami powers, he missed them. But the Fullbring helped him. Having a Fullbring gave him the power to protect. Having a Fullbring helped him, and it soon became a means to protect once his training was done. And once that was achieved, his main means of protecting, the Shinigami powers, also returned. In essence, he had even more power to protect than before. Shinigami, Hollow, and Fullbring. So what was all that about him only ever wanting to become a Shinigami again? Another argument that IchiRuki fans like to make is that Ichigo's bond with Rukia matters so much to him that he would give up his human life in a heartbeat. What? How ridiculous is that? He's human first and foremost. He himself has mentioned as such on numerous occasions. He was a human to start with and still is at the end of the day. He has not lived for centuries. He is not a soul without a body. The Shinigami have lived their human lives. Ichigo has barely begun. Making him give that up would just be cruel. According to IchiRuki fans, apparently he's happy all the time he's in Soul Society, and so that means he would still feel like that if his humanity was taken away from him, and if he had no choice but to solely embrace his Shinigami side. Ridiculous. Ugh. Absolutely ludicrous. Of course, he'd just be able to drop in now and again to visit his family because they would totally support that and would be overjoyed for him. He wouldn't see his school friends or the Human Nakama, no, because they would have moved on. Plus, as he doesn't have any career plans or any idea what he wants to study at university, that seemingly means that he does not know what to do with his life, and that the only thing he can do well is being a Shinigami, and therefore, in order to do that instead, because staying the way he is would make living in the mortal world extremely painful for him. What? Seriously, what BS is this? IchiRuki fans are always spouting these delusional claims. Poor Ichigo! How dare these fans torment him so? They have some nerve doing that to him. It's all so he can be with Rukia in Soul Society instead of living a long, fulfilled and happy life, following his dreams and protecting those he cares about. Mostly without her, too. I can't comprehend this. IchiRuki fans honestly believe that Ichigo is so desperate to be with Rukia that he would throw away the rest of his life, his entire world and his humanity. Ugh. Absolutely preposterous. IchiRuki fans wish such a twisted fate on him as being forced to leave everything behind with no choice. I lament on how such a prominent and strong character is being treated. If Ichigo actually did all of that, then it would make him thoughtless, diabolical, and downright selfish and shallow. The IchiRuki pairing makes him a criminal and a victim. He is neither. IchiRuki defining Ichigo? Psh, more like destroying Ichigo. It's just awful. I can't just sit back and watch whilst this pairing and its fans tear my second favourite Bleach character apart. Ichigo cares for his family and friends, and protecting them. Ichigo's life isn't worth it if Rukia isn't around, or if he isn't with Rukia. They even have the gall to claim that Ichigo thinks that. What the heck? The things that have always been the most important to Ichigo are his family and his friends. And if he went off to live in Soul Society, he wouldn't be able to do that. He wouldn't be able to protect those he holds dear. Maybe the Shinigami, and maybe the human world by being a Shinigami, a full-time one, but he wouldn't be able to protect those in particular because he wouldn't be around. And anyway, Ichigo has never even thought about living in Soul Society in the first place. Yes, okay, he missed Rukia after he lost his powers. That much is true. But going so far as to say that for those 17 months he was desperate to be with her and so contemplated living in Soul Society once he got his Shinigami powers back, how dare they? Ichigo cares for his family and friends, as I said before, so protecting them is paramount. And besides, it doesn't matter what powers he has as long as he can protect them. As I said before, he was doing well enough without Shinigami powers before Rukia came along. It doesn't matter what powers he has as long as he has the means to protect them. That's all he cares about. Whatever the cost to himself, he will protect them. That's part of who Ichigo is. And IchiRuki fans deny Ichigo of that. As I said before, it's obvious that they don't understand Ichigo at all. Either that or they're just glossing over it because they don't want to think about it. Rukia is part of Ichigo's wanting to protect because she's his friend. That much is logical. She's not given special protection by him, and shouldn't be. Heck, it would insult Rukia as a character if he did. The IchiRuki couple makes it seem like she should rely on him for protection all the time. She doesn't need that. She can stand on her own, thank you very much. And that, in this respect, is a very good example of the way IchiRuki destroys Rukia as a character. The way the IchiRuki couple treats the characters. It's awful. Absolutely awful. And the fans do even worse damage to Ichigo and Rukia as well. I swear, every time I read posts by IchiRuki fans about Ichigo and Rukia, I can't recognise the characters they're talking about. They mar Ichigo and Rukia beyond recognition. Ichigo and Rukia are distorted and warped beyond recognition. It's awful. Canon Ichigo and Canon Rukia versus the IchiRuki version of Ichigo and Rukia would certainly be something to behold indeed. As I've said before, Ichigo can't protect his family and friends if he goes to live in Soul Society. Shinigami who are in Soul Society can't just come and go to the world of the living as they please. IchiRuki fans make it sound like his existence in the world of the living is worthless and that he could do so much better without it, through moving where the dead are and being with his so-called true love. How horrible is that? That's a really nasty thing to imply about Ichigo as a character. His presence in the world of the living is fine and needed, with or without the one he apparently loves. Plus, when he did become a Shinigami again, I still didn't see him wanting to go to Soul Society and live there with Rukia forever and ever. That's not going to happen in any chapter. It's just not Ichigo. For IchiRuki fans to think it is, well, they don't know him at all then. Kubo has confirmed it twice now. Ichigo missed Rukia, but most of all he missed the power to protect, as I said before. Power was paramount, not Rukia. He was devastated for 17 months about losing his abilities and not being able to protect his friends. Fact. Getting power to protect and the hope of eventually getting his Shinigami powers back made him happy. He never once thought, yay, I'll be with Rukia again soon, did he? He didn't do it to see her again. Him devastated for 17 months about losing Rukia? Mere speculation. He never said he was. Kubo didn't draw that, which is why. Ichigo did not seek power back then, for Rukia or to see her at once more. It was because he thought he was weak and couldn't protect his friends. He said so himself. The reason why he was screaming no when his Fullbring vanished and demanded that Kugo gave him his power back. He wasn't screaming, no, I want my Shinigami powers. I can't see Rukia again and be with her in Soul Society forevermore without them, was he? Exactly. All I can say is well done to Kubo and Ichigo for disproving these absurd statements being paraded around as fact. Another thing I don't like about IchiRuki fans is how canon they claim their pairing is. I don't know what planet they're on, or what manga they're reading, because the only thing that's canon about Ichigo and Rukia is that they're more than friends. And also that they don't love each other. I mean, as I said before, Kubo said that, and yet they ignore it. In fact, they not only ignore it, but they twist his words to mean something else. They make out that the less than lovers bit implies that they'll become lovers at some point in the manga. That's not what it's about. His statement applies throughout the whole manga, even now. It doesn't imply anything about them becoming a couple in future. I don't know where they got that from. I mean, had Kubo said that they're more than friends and less than lovers right now, yes, I could understand that. But he didn't even say that. Ridiculous. Absolute balderdash. It seems to me that IchiRuki fans love overanalyzing things and love overanalyzing the manga and reading too deeply into the interactions between Ichigo and Rukia. And they also take things too literally as well. I mean, when Rukia said that Ichigo should be proud and do what he wants regardless of what everyone tells him, and that is the kind of man he is in her heart, she didn't mean that she loved him. She meant that that's the kind of Ichigo she knows. That's the Ichigo she became friends with. And as such, she has faith in him. And of course, that was enough to snap Ichigo out of his funk and to use his Shinigami powers again.